right, YouTube, this is Mr. Mean coming at you this fine Sunday evening. I hope everyone is doing well. On the YouTubes with me, I've got the awesome, the megalomaniac, the master of blaster, the master of disaster, Mr. Brandon. Talk to us, sir. Give us an intro. Tell us what you do, who you are, and what you eat.
Oh, I eat with my hands. Still the same.
Still didn't change.
A few years ago, I decided I wanted to make role-playing games. I actually had one in my head for years. Saints and Sinners is what I finally titled it. Back when Alternity came out, is when I got the idea for the setting. And so I was like, oh, it was going to be a home game. And I wrote this, I had this notebook with 36 outlined adventures. It was a huge arc. This is back when I was younger. We played every single week for 8 hours a game session. So that was a realistic arc to plan then with the group I had. One marriage later and some time come back to me, I decided to start, getting a little serious about it, writing, and got some art done. And unfortunately, the amazing artist I worked with at the time passed away. Did almost all the art for Saints and Sinners. That's 99% what you'll see in the book when it comes out. But while that kind of put a damper on things, obviously, poor man passing away is far more important than my game, but it really slowed things down. Obviously, on my end, I had to regroup, and while I did that, I started on another setting called Knights Arcanum, sort of like a stress relief to relieve my mind and distract me until I figured out what to do with the other one and such. And I ended up with making that. There's the cards, yeah. And but things kept kind of, learning how to make a role-play game is different than having an idea to run a game. So artists, layout, writing, learning how to write for a game. I'm still learning. But I ran into all these great people who've helped me. And now this year I finally got to where I have 3 settings coming out. If everything works out right, pretty much boom, boom, boom this year. Every 3 to 4 months, something will come out. That's Saints and Sinners. The set date will come soon. Knights Arcanum middle of this year, and a Secret World based on the video game. A lot of people think it, still out there. It is, but a lot of people kind of forget.
Well, it's a secret, of course.
It's a secret. It's a total conspiracy.
Illuminati is real.
Well, at least in the game, for sure.
Right. I'm more of a dragon.
But that'll come out fourth quarter this year. Templars, man, come on.
This interview's over. We can't talk.
Yeah. Council of Venice will come in. Those 3 things are lined up, and mainly I'm really kind of focused on Knights Arcanum right now because I have a partnership with the amazing Gallant Knight Games to work on Saints and Sinners, Alan Barr. He's kind of helping that out. So I'm just focused on Knights Arcanum right now to get that done, and then I'll follow up on the others. So that's kind of where I'm at, working on these ideas I've had in my head and want to make games because it's fun.
Right. Well, and without guys like you, there's no guys like me because I'm a consummate game master, and I appreciate the hard work that you guys do, and I know a lot of that hard work that goes in there. I've experienced it firsthand, and it is a lot of work for people. I go to a lot of game conventions. I run a lot of games online, and it's so funny when you hear, well, I don't know why they'll come out with more games, and I'm waiting for this source book. I've been waiting for a year, and I'm like, dude, have you not looked at the game industry and seen that 99.9% of everybody that's in the game industry does not do this full time? They normally have a day job. Shane Hensley, the master blaster of Pinnacle Press, has a day job.
Does he really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He runs. But John Wick, who makes awesome games, has a day job. Yeah. So Sean Patrick Fannin has a day job. His day job is Eagle Beagle Press, but Saints and Sinners is going to be Savage Worlds based mechanics.
Or
Open
maybe?
D6. Yeah. Are you not at liberty to say?
We're not talking about the set exact system just yet.
Okay, cool. That's why we're asking. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, there's
some
stuff I'm nailing down. The writing's progressing really strong. The art's there. There's some just final decisions on system that it will launch in. I may do more than one system with it eventually, but.
And what about Knights Arcanum? Is that going to be its own or to be determined?
That's going to be Savage Worlds.
That's going to be Savage Worlds. Okay. Now I'm fortunate enough that Brandon has been nice enough to get on my Discord, and he's been very interactive with the community and super nice, and invited me, like a sucker, to his game of Saints and Sinners, and I'm very excited. I don't think there's a whole lot we can talk about because it's a closed game, but I'm super excited to give it a try.
I can discuss it because it's my that's just me running my home game of it.
Right,
so
right. And
it has little or no impact on anything, although it might influence some things I'd add to it later. But
Right.
it's a way to try things out.
I'm super excited because A, I'm a huge Savage Worlds fan. B, I love the setting and some of the art that you've. If you're not on his Facebook, guys, or his Discord, he has his own Discord, and we'll put a link down in the doobly-doo to your Discord if that's okay, if that's something you want to do. In any of your socials, Twitter or whatever. Mr. Mean does not do the Twitter because I'm not smart enough, but we'll definitely put all those links down in the doobly-doo. That's blatantly stolen from Monty Cook Design. Doobly-doo is an official term for YouTube. But I will say one of the things I want to turn you on to, a little self-promotion here, is my buddy Nubby at his game studio, and he runs a little YouTube channel where he paints miniatures and stuff. He turned me on to Sticker Mule. I don't know if you know about Sticker Mule, but they make stickers. Nothing fancy. Like, this is obviously my channel logo.
Sure.
I have a hologram one. I got like 50 of these for like $70. Now, that's a little steep when you figure it's a 3-inch little circular sticker. But after your first order, they basically just throw shit at you for dirt cheap. And
Just
so
the setup fee and all that.
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. Get you hooked, right? So I would say, because I really dig your Star Anvil Studios logo and the Knights Arcanum logo and Saints and Sinners art. So maybe think about hitting up Sticker Mule. Oh, I'm getting a kiss from a 5-year-old. We got to take a commercial break here. Mwah! Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hello.
Say bye.
Bye.
It's bedtime for the little guy. Yeah, but just a quick promo out there. Get some stickers; they're great. And then you can send me some, and I can pass them out at conventions. Just
Sounds fair.
Just tossing that out there, man.
Yeah. Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. So yeah, very active in the community. I think that's really super cool of you. My buddy Jay over at Feral Games is like that. He's over in England, so we don't hold that against him. It's not his fault. But so he's
Can't help where you're born.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, I mean, he could move. I don't know why he doesn't. He's just being a jerk. He's being ornery. He doesn't want to move just to hurt my feelings. That's what it is.
I think probably why.
I know what it is. He knows that if he moves to America, I'll eat his cats because I disdain cats with a passion. And he has, I think, 2. So I pick on him and his wife. So, but Jay's a great guy. Also an indie publisher. Does a bunch of games, very cool games as well. So, I love it when you guys, because you guys have that inside vibe of the industry. Everyone thinks that every game designer is, Fantasy Flight Games or Wizards of the Coast, and it's just this fallacy.
I wish I had their budget and their
right,
people.
right, and then so, and the other complaint I hear a lot that we love support for our games, right? We go nuts when a new Splat book comes out, but we get mad because a new Splat book come out. And I'm like, don't you people understand how commerce works? You have to provide a product to sell for people to buy it so that they can eat dinner.
Well, I kind of get both sides of that a little bit. I mean, I think people are like is they want that, they don't care so much a book comes out. They want it to have some kind of substance that adds to the game versus just
there is that.
Maybe just if it's just a bunch of art, which is incredibly expensive anyway, but if it's just arts with stats for say guns, well, that's cool. But if you're going to give me some bits and pieces that I think that the players and the GM can both use, some cool stuff that, maybe a new rule or something, if it has some kind of substance to it, or if it's just rehashing old information, that's kind of annoying. It's like, you took all the old stuff, but put a new book and try to repackage it.
My point here is like everybody bitching about WotC and how many books. Their production schedule for 5th edition has been so much better than 3.5 ever was.
Oh, yeah.
3.5 had a book out every month. And then the tertiary market, the licensees were spitting stuff. Green. That's how Green Ronin made its business. They were putting out 3.5 product. Several other companies did. The Paizo. I mean, they spun off from 3.5 and made Pathfinder, which great for them.
Better to have better to have too much to choose from than not enough to pick from.
Exactly. But it just cracks me up that people complain, I'm not buying that book. And I'm like, but yet if they don't put out a book for your favorite game, they're a bunch of assholes. And you can't. Well, my point is you can't win. And as a small studio, and here's the thing, it takes you 1 to 4 years to make a book. Let's just say hypothetically.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. And it takes a gamer a day and a half to read that book.
Yeah.
Right. If they're an avid, I'm telling you right now, I'll probably read Star Anvil in a day.
Yeah, you really sure? I'm sure you could. I mean,
I'm a prolific reader. A, and B, I read. I eat these things like candy. So and then the problem here is, and I'm one of those people. I don't bitch about it, but the flip side will be, oh, that was great. What's next? Brandon? What's the next book in the pipeline?
You want more. If you like it, you want more. I mean, that makes sense. It's just...
And that's a good problem to have until it goes so far, or you're a small press, like Star Anvil, and you don't have the resources to throw a book out every 3 months. Now, I think you are kind of doing it in a smart way by having 3 IPs in the pipeline ready to go within this year. So you're going to keep the train moving, so to speak. But the only, I don't want to say problem, but the foreseeable hiccup is, okay, so let's just say Saints and Sinners goes gangbusters and it's awesome. Mm-hmm. What's the next book? Is there a next book plan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're ahead of the curve.
So Saints and Sinners is this like sandbox idea I had. I loved playing Star Wars in the West End games, where it was like this huge open world, and I liked TV shows like Babylon 5, this huge sort of created lore and world. Those are heavy inspirations for what I liked a lot about, and Shadowrun because I just liked the whole corporate, mega corporations kind of thing, and I kind of mashed a lot of those ideas into it. And so the way I built it is the main book is kind of covers a little bit of everything.
Right.
Not in so much detail that you can really sink into any
like
one.
Like a true game book. There. It gives you a taste of everything. Splat books will come later that will fill in the details, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, if I'm successful enough, which is what I
will be.
I don't plan for failure.
Yeah. Well, you should.
But, I mean, I know what happens if I fail. I stop making and just play my game at home, and I'm fine.
I'm okay with that because I'm in it. So
there you go. You'll get to play.
Screw you guys. We're out.
Yeah, the rest of the world, you're out. Sorry.
Losers.
So then I have, there's the Outer Rim, which is kind of like the Wild West criminals, the syndicates in charge out there. It's where people kind of got abandoned. I guess the short version is there was a big war, which is more background. Big aliens came in. Leaves the galaxy kind of battered up, and all the different people are just retreat to their main territories. They leave the Outer Rim, the new colonies, to fend for themselves.
Right. And all the resources have to come inward to support,
protect, rebuild.
Right. Exactly.
And the Outer Rim kind of fends for itself, and the criminals fill the power vacuum. And then over on this other side over here, we have the corporate worlds.
Yeah.
And there where the corporation said, "Hey, no one's really controlling anything. We're just going to set up our own kind of government."
Yeah.
And if you're in a corporate world, you are not a citizen. You are an employee, and you don't want to get fired.
Right.
HR is more like the cops in the corporate world.
I like it. It's real life, in other words, is what you're saying.
Yeah, just like that. And that setting is literally one guy that runs the game runs it almost. He's a big Shadowrun fan, and he just takes that world. It's kind of like that there. So you can play it different ways. I remember you told me you were in the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
So there's a group called Arrow, which is the inner worlds, the Earth government. Sub Arrow, which is now I can't remember what the acronym stands for because I have to
You're
remember.
On the spot.
Assault Recon Rescue Operations Wing, and they're kind of like if you put together the Coast Guard with U.S. Marshals. They're small ships that patrol space. Because they don't have the big Navy anymore. So if you want to play, the game is set to be played whatever way you want, but primarily focuses on the Saints, which is the Sector Agent Intrastellar Task Force, which is why we just say Saint, but it was a way to make an acronym, right?
Right.
And the Sinners, which work for the Syndicate.
Right, which is SYN.
Yes, because Syndicate. So that's the big focus on that. And
clever,
so that's
clever.
That's the way that's kind of where the title came from, and that's that game that you get to play in. So there's a lot to go there.
I'm super stoked. I'm telling you right now. I love the concept, the art. Tell us a little bit about how. Well, you know what? Let's get my silly questions out of the way.
Okay.
Because we don't have all
I'm
night.
scared.
I'm old and I'm falling asleep. Not that you're boring, but I'm just old. So, and this can be any game. What's your favorite game? Your role playing game. Your favorite pen and paper role playing game. It can be in a 3-ring binder. It can be, something you homespun. It can be, D&D. You don't have. I mean, truly, when you look deep in your heart and you go, oh, this is the game that I love.
The best game out there that I've ever played in, or best actual game that some guy actually ran.
Whatever.
I mean, is that what
whatever. What's that one game
it's,
that you're like, oh man, I love this game. I can play it over and over and over.
I can never play it again because that guy's not around to run anymore. But the first D&D game I ever played will always be the one that formed my interest in role playing games ever. The guy that built that game had a notebook with, back in the day when you did on graph paper before he had virtual stuff or anything, he had 50 or 100 sheets of pre-done maps. He did a map of the world that he drew with on brown paper, whatever it was. He burned the edges, he wrinkled it. He had the little dragon kind of going up and down in the corner. He was a great artist, and he just had this whole story and world that they'd play with their younger that we started in. I was a paladin, because they asked me, I'd never played D&D. What do you like? I said, well, I like King Arthur stories. Okay, you're a paladin. Okay.
Okay.
And we played that game. We played for 2 years, every Saturday and Sunday, sometimes on Wednesdays. I was 18.
Yeah.
We'd start on a Saturday at 10 o'clock and finish 6 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah. Oh, God, I remember those days.
Yeah, I went from 6th level to 23rd level because we didn't level cap. And then we finally quit.
Right.
That game finally fell apart.
Cool.
After 2 years. It was amazing. So,
all right. So the next question, and this is one that, again, this is in your world. Who, past, present, living or dead, would you like to sit down and play a game with?
Well, probably Shane Hensley, because I really do like Savage Worlds as a huge game system. I love the way he created Deadlands and just the whole way and every time he interacts with the community.
Yeah.
He's just the
classy,
nicest guy, and he has so much. I don't want to just play the game with him. I want to pick his brain for 10 minutes if I can. But yeah, I'd love to play a game with him. He seems like he'd be fun to play in a game with.
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
is actually. I got to play. We were at OwlCon. Was it? Yeah, I think it was OwlCon a couple of years ago in Texas, and at Rice University. And he lives in Arizona, in Glendale, Arizona, and so that's not a far jump for him to go. And he got tired of people saying that you couldn't do a dungeon crawl in Savage Worlds. It really started to, so he's like, by golly, I'm going to do a dungeon crawl. And so I managed to play a dwarf that had 2 axes, and I swear to God, I aced on every. It was just the most amazing afternoon of gaming, that I had, and by golly, we did a dungeon crawl, and it was fun.
Sure.
Yeah, and so whoever says out there that you can't do a dungeon crawl with Savage Worlds, you're full of malarkey, because Shane Hensley proved. And we had 8 to 10 players, I think. We had, because it's Savage Worlds, you can run that many. And
you can.
We had a blast, and Shane ran it, and a consummate gentleman, and just so much fun. And yeah, so cool. Well, that's not the first time I've got that answer, so I highly respect that. And then last but not least, well, there's 2 more. I'll save my favorite one for last. What's the one game, past or present, currently in production or not, that you wish you go, damn, I should have wrote that?
Yeah, that's hard for me to think right now. You're kind of catching me off guard on that one.
That's what I do. That's why I'm mean.
I won't say Star Wars because that's really just based on an existing game. So,
well, it could be, it's the IP.
Deadlands Hell on Earth, because I love post-apocalypse, and that's probably out of the entire Deadlands, timelines you can play in. That's the one I like the most.
Yes.
I mean, the Old West is cool. Lost Colony is cool. I can't wait for Deadlands Dark Ages to come out. That'll be awesome.
I can't wait. But, yeah, I'm all over that, by the way.
But Mad Max, post-apocalypse, mutants, I'm in.
Yeah. Yep. Same here. That's a good one. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that one. And then my favorite, the weird question. You're in an airplane. You're flying over the Pacific. The captain comes on and says, I'm abandoning ship. We're going down. You're on your own. The plane crashes on a deserted island. You're there for the rest of your life. You can only bring one game book. What is it?
Oh yeah, probably gonna have to be Savage Worlds.
There.
Game. I mean,
Good man.
That's my favorite one.
Well, and the thing is, you can do anything with Savage Worlds, right? So
it does have its outer limits where you're stretching it, but as a basic foundation,
yeah, you can do.
I mean, Savage Rifts is pushing that game rule system really hard, but it still works.
Yeah.
Savage Pathfinder. I mean, there's so many ways you can stretch it. I mean, it's a good base system.
Every time I see Shane at a convention or whatever, I'm like, Evernight. When are we going to see a new Evernight? He's like, nah. I don't know if they don't own the rights to it. I literally don't know. I need to ask him. But why haven't we gotten a reprint of Evernight? Because it's one of the best fantasy with a hint of, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I'll spoil it. It's aliens. It's aliens invade a fantasy world. And so it's Evernight. And it's kind of like almost Lord of the Rings meets, Area 54. I don't know. It's very cool. But it was one of their very first published settings. And it just never took off. And I wish it would have. And then I've never seen a reprint. It's hard to find. They only printed a small production, run of it.
He's so busy these days with stuff he's already got that's going.
Well, he also had quintuplets or some shit like that. He's got like 6 kids, all born at the same time. His poor wife, and they're all in college now. That's wow. That's all I can say. I remember when he had the kids,
That's where all his money goes when he makes money. It goes to that. So
he doesn't have money. He has 6 kids. He doesn't have money. He's his secondary name. They don't call him Dad. They call him Bank of Hensley.
Yeah, that's right. He started the game company to pay for his kids. No.
Exactly. And I think his one of his kids is actually in the business with him, which is pretty cool. So, of course he had a 1 in 6, chance. So
yeah, just roll the 6 out of that. Was the one that came up.
He got one. You can't roll a 7 on a 6, well, unless you ace, but that's a different story. Anyway, we're nerding out over game mechanics and weird stuff. So many years these ideas have been in your head. You seem to know some very awesome artists. I love that image in the background.
Yeah.
That's Knights Arcanum?
Yeah, Knights Arcanum is the one where we're focusing on getting the art lined up and the writing done, so I can really. I don't want to launch the Kickstarter and go, and now we'll start.
Right.
I want to be.
And thank you. Now, I don't know if you haven't. You said quite to my dismay, you haven't watched a lot of my videos. I'm not saying it hurt or anything, but I will cry myself to sleep tonight.
Watched 2. I've only known about you for 2.5 weeks. I've watched.
Cut me some slack, Jesus. I've kind of sworn off Kickstarters.
Sure, I understand.
Now, just because the whole Green Ronin thing with the Knights of the Earth Prime, or Sentinels of Earth Prime, but be that as it may, here's the thing: I think Kickstarter is made for guys like you. It's not made for, Savage Worlds or Pinnacle or Ulysses Spiel, the guys that make the Dark Eye, or WotC, Paizo. WotC and Paizo don't go to Kickstarter because they don't need to. Monty Cook doesn't need to go to Kickstarter, but yet he does all of his games on Kickstarter. Why? It's a pre-order system. He can't lose. He knows I've got 200 people that have ordered. I only need to print 210 copies in case some get lost in the mail. I'm good to go. And I think that's wrong. I think it hurts the small guys like you. So that being said, I think if you go to Kickstarter for Knights of Arcanum or Saints and Sinners, I'll probably back it. I've seen a little bit. You've been very, like I said, very active. You sent me some really cool images, and I've got a little bit of information on the game based on the one that I'm going to play in with you on starting on the 18th, I believe. So 19th?
Whatever it's whatever.
Yeah,
it might be the 18th.
Something
Whatever day
18th.
is that Saturday?
11th. That day. And I gotta say, I'm, and not because I'm able to chat with you and stuff, because you can see I clearly have no allegiance to any one game system.
Sure. One is fun for the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I like to stand behind products that I feel stand behind us, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
And this is a passion play for you. You can see how you talk about it. You can see, when you share the images and you're talking about it and just your Facebook post and stuff, you care about it and you're wanting to do it the right way. And when you're a small-time publisher, there is no right way, right? Because anything,
whatever way works for you.
Right. Well, I mean, you got wife, you got kids, you got responsibilities, you got a day job. This is something you do. And we had a lovely conversation on Discord the other day about, can you interview this day? No, I got to do this day. And then finally he came out and said, look, man, I am not free until after 8 p.m. CST. And I was like, me neither. So because I got to get my son is, autistic. And so I have to get him ready. And, everything is a process with him and you can't step outside of the norm. And that's fine. That's part of being a parent, the sacrifices that we make. And I wouldn't change it. I love him the way he is, but I understand because you kind of hit me in the feels when you said, I got to get my kids ready and, I got to make dinner and we sit down at the table and we eat as a family. Me and my family do the same thing. We sit down we sit at the couch in front of our.
You're sitting together. That's all.
We're sitting together. My son has his own little table right in front of us, and he eats with us, and we're there as a family, and so that. Basically, you're a cool guy in my book because we think the same way.
I fooled you so well.
I know. Yeah, well, I got the nickname for Mr. Mean because I don't take any shit. It's just that simple. I'm a former police officer, former military guy. I'm very structured in my daily things. I go to work. I do my job. If everybody would just do their job, this world would be a much better place. Instead we got to have the latest and greatest cell phone, or we got to, you cut in front of me in traffic. We're going to the same damn red light, but God damn it, you got in front of me. Lighten up, people. We're driving, just worry about not hitting the person around you, and so that resonated with me, that, I got it, and I like that. A lot of people, go out of their way to, I can do it here. What's your schedule? And it's not a matter of what my schedule is. I'll tell you what can or can't work. It's, these games don't just jump to the printing press and immaculately conceptualize, right? They come from guys like you. If only they did, the world would be a sorry place because I would have all kinds of crazy games out there. You don't want to be inside of here. It's not pretty. But the point is you put your heart and your soul into this, so to speak, and it's a passion, and this is a hobby that, to be honest, with some funny looking dice. And to be honest, you don't even need the dice. You could write 1 through 20 on a piece of paper and cut it up and put it in a cup. Like we did with the original D&D. Like we go see mommy, please. Daddy's talking. I love you. See, like I said,
it's okay.
Yeah. But this is a hobby that you can do with a pen and a scratch piece of paper. You don't need anything else. You can literally do it off the top of your head. Make the rules up as you go. As long as everybody sitting around the table is having fun, that's the only thing that matters.
True.
And that's what's amazing about this hobby, and guys like you that, come up with these ideas that, some people wouldn't think of. And, everyone, you can't have a good game without a good GM. That's true. But you got to have a good world and a good setting and a good set of rules to facilitate that. Or you're just all sitting around making shit up as you go. Nothing wrong with that if that's the game you choose to play, because we all did it. It was called Cops and Robbers or Cowboys and Indians. And how many times did you have the conversation? You didn't shoot me. Yes, I did. You're dead. No, I'm not. And we would argue and we'd have fun, and life went on. So
all the rules for these games the settings are just organizing your fantasy world so that everyone has a shared concept of what things are like, so you can play your game. I mean. Right. We played Cops and Robbers, you're the cop, I'm the robber, whatever you're going to do, you kind of know that. But now we know, like, hey, I'm part of this faction and this, and I do this. And
I get a bonus for that. Yep.
We're just big kids having a shared universe.
And I just, because somebody posted on Facebook years ago, and I think the caption was, and they call us nerds. And it was on the left was a picture, and it said fantasy football, and it was like 6 guys sitting on the couch with paper and and everything out, and then the picture next to it was 6 different guys in the same exact position sitting on the same couch with a D&D book and dice and paper, and it's like whatever your hobby is, man, that's cool. That's fun. If you're a fantasy
Whatever
football
you're
guy,
a fan of. Yeah.
yeah, whatever passes the day and keeps you, sane or brings you joy. There is no right or wrong way to play a game as long as everybody agrees and everybody's having fun. I am so disappointed in our community that, like, when I got the new Vampire 5th edition and I broke it and I started reading it, and I was so excited because Vampire, I loved Vampire the Masquerade. It was a great game. It brought hot chicks into the gaming hobby, and at the time I was single, so that was great, and it really did.
It opened up to another group of people for a different interest.
A different demographics. Yeah, you brought all your goths and your hot chicks, and it was cool, and it was fun, and it was edgy, and it was a different style of gaming, because up until then we had high fantasy, hard fantasy, low fantasy, but that's pretty much what our stuff was. And then here was vampires, personal horror, and everything. And then I read it, and they're going into all these political things about, transgender and, safety words and and I'm like, we don't need this in our games. If we're adults, just sit down and play the game. Yeah, I mean, if you choose to put it in there, that's fine. I'm not going to boycott your game because you do, but I'm just saying, and I'm a grognard. I admit that. I'm my knuckles drag the ground. There's a low IQ here, common denominator. But I'm smart enough to go, don't pick on someone because they're gay. That's their choice. Do we need to put that in a game to tell us not to do that? We don't need that social, flag waving, I guess. In my world, and if you feel differently, that's fine. Because that's the joy of this hobby is you can have different opinions, and it doesn't make you a saint or a sinner. Like how I did that. I threw that in there. It's pretty clever. Yeah.
If a company wants to put them there, I'm okay if they want to put them there. I either way, that's how a company wants to manage it.
Right.
I myself don't feel like I have the tools necessary to try and inform people how to run their social portion of their game. So I wouldn't tell people what to do, but I also would strongly never I would never encourage someone to mistreat someone based on whatever their and I don't want to say lifestyle.
I think that's common sense, though.
Whatever.
That's common sense.
I don't think, sadly, I don't think common sense is that common anymore.
George Carlin said it best. Common sense isn't so common. Well, I'm going to tell you, Brian,
right, yeah.
I can't game with you. I can't play in your Saints and Sinners game because you're bald and you don't have any hair and your beard is too short. So therefore,
I do have some hair.
Well, that's okay. Really? Come on now. Come on.
Well, I just choose to cut it that short. See,
I'm not follically challenged.
My wife's right over there going, he has way more hair than you.
Yeah. If I take my shirt off, my wife's like, who said you could wear a sweater in the house? I'm like, I'm not. She's like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, her nickname for me is Chewbacca. So,
yes.
I get out the shower and I shake and water goes everywhere. It's horrible. Yeah, but it's just we don't have the right to tell anybody that, I think, and I just personally don't think it belongs in role-playing games. But that's just me. I mean, and I agree with you 100%. I don't think I have the place, and I have the 5th edition Vampire book. I have the Anarchs book because aside from that little blurb, everything else in the book is pretty good. I don't particularly like the new setting, but it's okay. I don't play it. If I ever play Vampire, I'll play the 20th edition, 20th anniversary edition, because I think that's the version of the game I like. But I have it in my collection. I support the company because I like the product. I just don't think it's the version I would run. And that's the great thing about being a gamer. I can make that choice because I vote with my dollar, So, so when you're not poring over your computer to write stuff for Saints and Sinners and Knights Arcanum, what are you playing? Are you a video game guy, or do you just get friends over? I know COVID has put a damper in a lot of we just started back up on our local gaming group.
I mean, I play, my friend, his nickname he goes by on Discord is Salt-O-Mancer, so we call him Salty.
Which I love.
He's running, we call him Little Salty. He's like 6'4". He's running Iron Kingdoms using the 5e version that just came out. So we're enjoying that. We've had our 4th session now.
Yeah.
So there's a really good dynamic between the group. But my older daughter doesn't like a lot of new people a lot. It kind of gets her a little anxious. So I got my wife, myself, my oldest daughter, and a friend that Salty knows. We're just playing a 4-person group, very well working hard to play our characters as far as role playing how they would be. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on there as far as that group. So that's kind of the game I play. And then if I'm not playing with anyone or just want to play a game with my wife and we can pick it up and put it down, we're playing Guild Wars 2. That's kind of because it's
We were talking about
pretty good.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just used one of my level ups to 80 so that I could go do the quest to get my mount. So that because once you open up the mount, it's account wide for every character.
Right.
So if you make a brand new character, you get your mount. So that's
need to do that.
I'm gonna go do that. I just made the level 80. I have to go do there's a quest you have to do. It's not very difficult, but I have to go do that quest. Thank you, YouTube, for all the. Because I play these games solo. I never play with anybody, so I miss so much of the game, but I enjoy them. And I'm a huge Star Wars, the Old Republic fan, but my game won't run anymore. I updated to the 7.0 patch, and my game won't run anymore. It just servers are blank, and I've done
Star Wars: The Old Republic is a sour note for me, sir.
Sorry. Well, I'm not playing it anymore. That's why I went back to Guild Wars.
No, I played Star Wars Galaxies when it came out.
Oh. Okay.
And when they killed that one, the way they killed it, we will leave it for that.
Yeah.
And came
on one day, off the next.
Well, I mean,
they told you it was going down.
Star Wars Galaxies didn't surprise anyone when it came. I mean, it was out for quite a bit, but it had stuff that no game's really ever done at the way they did it since, as far as that total world. And I've forever never seen a world like it, and that's the game that I want to play. And then they came Star Wars: The Republic, and I was like, ooh, Star Wars. Very cartoony. I mean, still good graphics, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But they went for the WoW kind of cartoony kind of look and stuff. And
very animated.
I mean, I played it. Yeah, and then it's just not the game. I mean, I haven't played it for several years, but
Yeah, that's the joy, and well, you've got Guild Wars too. So
yeah, that's an older game, but still a great game.
Yeah, and it's Guild Wars is 10 years old, I think.
Yeah,
and it's still going strong. It's just stable, and that's what I like. Well, I mean, Star Wars is 10 years old, and like I've been paying for it for the full 10 years, and I'm about to end my subscription because I called EA Sports and they just blew me off. I got a customer support guy who couldn't get me off the phone fast enough. And I was like, look, I'm telling you, none of these are. I'm a former network administrator. I know, it's there's something.
I know the basics.
Yeah. I've turned it off and turned it back on again. So but he just didn't want to support. And so I was like, fine. One bad apple does ruin a batch, and so now you can kiss my ass. You ain't getting any more of my money.
Well, I think that game, will sadly, like all games, I think it's kind of on its downward, and I think that will be replaced at some point with another Star Wars game eventually.
Yeah, because there's enough of a market out there now that I think they've seen that, and I'm sure with Disney owning the license now and EA, owning the license to the IP, they're gonna have to pay, I would assume, a large fee to keep that license going. So it may very well shut down here in the next 5 years, if not sooner.
Yeah, whatever that contract is.
Right. Well, as soon as it, because I know it ain't a lifelong contract.
Never
but,
is.
Am I salty about it? Yeah, because I really enjoyed the game. I had fun. It was one of those games that you could play solo with no problem. You never had to team up with anybody. Guild Wars, you can play it pretty solo, but it is a better experience if you team up with at least another person. So you're lucky in the fact that your wife plays with you, because my wife has no interest in playing any of this stuff. Is not.
In our house, we had to run networking to all the computers in our house. So my wife plays with me. There's occasions my oldest daughter plays with me. I got my son who may eventually start playing with me.
Yeah.
Because everyone's wired up. We pay for the highest speed internet.
Yeah.
So that everyone in the house can game.
Right. And then there's nothing wrong with that, because I think that's just another form of bonding. And if you're having fun, and hopefully everybody's got a Discord account, and you can chat through Discord.
Yep. We just put on the voice. We play in our separate rooms.
Yeah.
I got my wife right next to me, so we have to turn down so we don't get crosstalk sometimes. But other than that, we play really well.
That's awesome, man. And I'm super jealous that your wife games with you, because I tried to teach my wife how to play. It was the bad choice of games. I tried to teach her how to play Pathfinder 1st edition. And my wife's a molecular biologist. So she wants to know the meaning behind the numbers. And I'm like, well, you don't need to know that. You just need to know that you have a +3 in strength. But why do I have a +3? Because you're bigger than everybody else. Sometimes you're too close.
Big and mean.
Yeah. Look who she's married to. Come on. No, but
Mr. Meme,
it's just not her cup of tea. Now she will play like Star Empires card games and stuff like that. We play the Pathfinder adventure game. We've played that a couple of times, and we just got the spin-off of Gloomhaven. It's a little more user-friendly board game RPG type thing, and we're both excited to try that, but it's sitting up in the closet. We bought it. We were all excited about it. We never opened it. So, well, I mean, we have an autistic child, so that takes a lot. By the time the end of the day comes, we're tired, man. You know, and I'm 54 years old, and my wife's a little bit younger than me. So, but she's an accountant now by trade, and so she's, you know, end of year, end of quarter is always brutal. So it's just we're tired. We're old. We're tired, and now I've got to be in this chiropractic thing for the next 3 months because I've got severe arthritis in my lower back, and yeah, it's another whole story there, but. So that's the next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays for the next 4 months of my life is shot. So until I get through all this therapy, and hopefully it works and I can avoid back surgery. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. So anyway, what else? I mean, what's your plans moving forward? You're talking 3 games this year. Mm-hmm. Is there any other IPs in your brain, IP being intellectual properties that you've got like, oh, I've got this amazing idea. I want to put it out there, and you know it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And Shane Hensley's going to give me the keys to the castle.
Too many ideas.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
So many ideas that I want to make, but I've had to. I mean, I already have too many I'm working on. 3 is too many. That's a mistake that I made that I've committed to and I'm finishing. But reality is, I should have just did the one. Maybe had a second one in line. The real thing is, like, Secret World was like, I emailed them and asked.
I know.
They said
you
yes.
told me that story, and I thought, wow.
And I was like, wow. I mean,
they're not doing anything with it. Didn't they shut the servers down last year?
No, they still run.
They still run? You can still play it?
You play Secret World Legends, and if you have the right code, you could still play the original Secret World. As I've heard, I don't know.
For those that don't know, Secret Worlds is an MMO, came out a couple of years ago, and it was the Secret World. It's basically modern times, but there's the weird things out there, and there's 3 main factions.
Modern horror.
Yeah, kind of Cthulhu-esque. A little bit. Absolutely. But you know, you had your dragons, which were basically your Asians. You had your Templars, which is basically Europe, and then the Americans were the Illuminati, right? Yeah,
North America, Illuminati primarily.
Yeah.
Asia and other surrounding areas around there's the dragons, dragons are chaos. Templars are the chaos theory. The Templars are about sort of that order and conviction, and the Illuminati, I think their tagline is after sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
So, they're all about power directly, just for the sake of power.
Yeah. So cool
very,
game.
Very faction oriented.
Yeah, very cool game.
The lore is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're doing that one. So the big sort of like groan and moan / depending on who you are, is that I'm doing Secret World in 5th edition.
All right,
and a lot of people are like,
I hate 5th edition. Can't stand
well,
it.
I mean,
it's not my cup of tea. You know, I don't hate it. I don't hate because I have the books up there. It's not my cup of tea.
Exactly what a lot of people are like, who are kind of like either, well, there's too much 5th edition. I'm so tired of it. I'm like, yeah, but you understand that's not. It's the whole thing is this. It's business. If everyone thinks
it's what sells. Hobby, it's what sells.
It's what sells. And I want to do so much stuff that I want to do stuff that will sell.
Right.
And people, there's a large group of people who want to have it in that edition.
Right. No, so look at Iron Kingdoms. Iron Kingdoms has been out for close to 20 years. You know, it was a miniatures game. It was a role-playing game. They had their own set of mechanics, which mimicked kind of the miniatures game. I have all the books for it. I have the whole series. I love it. I think Iron Kingdoms is a great IP. It was phenomenal. It was this different type of fantasy. It's a great game. You know, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fell by the wayside. They were still kind of doing miniatures, and they were doing the card game was a huge failure. Didn't do like they wanted to do, which is fine. I mean, not everything's a hit, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere, here's a Kickstarter from Privateer Press for 5th edition Iron Kingdoms, and it went gangbusters.
And they made money, and now they can make more stuff.
Right, and so I do not begrudge them at all. Here's the thing, like I say with all of these games, it's a choice. I have all the Iron Kingdom stuff. I can play Iron Kingdoms right now. If I want to run or if I want to play Iron Kingdoms, I can because I have everything for the original system. I can play it. So I don't need to buy 5th edition if I don't prefer that setting or whatever. And if someone wants to run it and change my mind, I dare you. But the thing is I don't have to support it. I don't have to buy every game that's out there because conventional society says you have to. Jay over at Feral Games Inc., he's a buddy of mine. He makes a lot of games, and now he's starting to see that if he wants to pay his rent, all he's got to do is slap the 5e title on it. And it sells.
That's where the money's going to be made.
Right.
That's where the company's
the largest chunk of the pie, and there's always somebody in that huge pie that's looking for something different. That's still 5e because they know 5e. Like here in Duluth, I can't find. It took me 2 years to find a group that would play something besides D&D.
Yeah, it's hard. It certainly is.
And I had to trick them into playing Pathfinder. I got them hooked gaming, and then I said, okay, we're switching to Pathfinder 2nd edition. And I lost 3 out of the 6 players. They didn't want to play. I was like, okay, well, bye, see you. And then I found 3 more people at work.
And some people just want to play a game. There's that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can share my screen with you here. I'll show you some of the art here for stuff I'm working on before we get too far gone. Let's see. Is that it? I don't know if I'm going to do this right because I've never really tried to do this. So if
I think there's a little icon that just says share screen, and then you.
That's what I'm doing.
There you go. Oh, look at that.
So let me get to that.
I love the mask with the 3 eyes or whatever on it.
Is the picture still there?
Yeah, it's there, and then and then you should be able to either tab or click on the next one. Yeah, it looks cool. You know what? I'm gonna make it on my end. I'm gonna make it full screen.
So let's see if I can just do one at a time here.
There we go.
So
look at that.
Here is this is from Knights Arcanum. Obviously, there's the thing up there.
Right. These are some of the images that are on the cards.
Yeah. Most of these many of these are the cards. This is the cult leader. They are followers of this fine lady here.
Oh, she's hot.
The demons that have infested the world. She's a more powerful one who's inhabited a body, and so some of her form takes over the human body.
Yeah, not so good.
Not so good for the human. There's the world is very He-Man sort of Thundercats kind of concept of magic tech.
Sold.
So you see the golem there.
Yeah.
But if you want to say fly,
we'll
see the cannons over the shoulder.
Yes.
Everyone's kind of got using the Savage World Superpowers companion. So you see, originally you might be able to guess who some of these people are inspired by. The guy with the hammer was inspired by the idea of the original X-Men. There's the big, strong, armored guy.
Yeah.
There's and not the original X-Men in general, I should say, because there's your clawed hero who has regeneration down there. I don't know who that can be modeled on.
I have no idea.
And then you sort of got your leader type with the energy attack that can attack ranged or punch you with lightning punches because that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's the rule of cool. Yeah.
Sort of a team shot there. And
that's awesome.
But every setting needs their bad guys, so why not the Necromancer? He'll show
of course.
Up
Duh.
I don't know what he could be inspired by. Some undead sort of guy in a cartoon.
Yeah, Mummer.
No, I didn't say that.
For copyright infringement purposes, I deny that statement.
Inspiration, maybe.
Sure.
Copy, absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry. I even like the Thundercats reboot, to be honest.
I kind of liked it too.
Yeah.
Look, this is a psychically powered character.
Very awesome.
So now, and just some random.
I like the giddy smile.
Here's a ship you can fly around on. Because
that's the Joker on your cards.
All the world is suspended in the air. A floating island. So you need ships to get from world, piece to piece. There's Sledge, his namesake in his hand, going toe to toe with a brain bot, as I call it.
Right. That is
some more bad guys.
Ooh.
Another golem.
Yikes. Yeah, that's one of the cards. And that's one of the cards too. Yeah.
And then just for a little bit of the secret world, we took some of the art they had and we updated to something and we did that.
Oh, I like it. So
I work with Ron Root, who's done almost all the Knights Arcanum art.
Yeah.
Annie Ghosh, he did all of this piece. He does a lot of the new colors. and Ben Worrell. Let's mention all the cool guys doing work for me there.
Yeah.
And I got Ross Watson, who did a lot of writing for Rifts.
Yep.
Who's writing
And
Knights
the Dark
Arcanum
Eye.
for me. Yep, and he's writing Knights Arcanum for me.
Oh, nice. So when you say writing, is he writing mechanics or is he writing background or both?
Writing pretty much the story. How do I stop sharing the screen?
There you go.
So and that's basically with since I had all these ideas
Sure.
and time that I don't have, I said, people told me when you get into gaming, nobody hires idea guys. So idea guys hire other people to make their ideas come to life.
Yep.
So I had this little notebook. I like to write in a notebook. It slows me down, makes me think my thoughts through better. I put it in a notebook. I had about 60 pages of notebook. I turned on voice, speech to text, and started putting it all into a document and gave it to him. And he's been writing, and he's a good huge chunk in based on my notes. He's moved past my notes. Now he's just asking me, "Is this what you want me to do at this point? Is this what you were thinking?" Because we're past mine.
He's a really good GM too, by the way.
Oh, I've never played with him, but we've talked a bit.
I've
about
watched a couple. He ran a couple of sessions for Torg when he was doing that, and it's how Shane Hensley got his start in the industry was Torg. So that's the first game system he ever worked on.
I can see Torg. I also think Shane Hensley was influenced a lot by the D6 stuff.
Yep.
When you look at the stuff from Star Wars and how Savage Worlds works with like the Wild Die, Benny's Fate, it's influenced the ideas, and then he made it his own thing completely.
Yeah, and it's and I think that's I gotta say Savage Worlds is probably my go-to favorite system. I can run anything in Savage because you can just put a skin on it and off you go, And
I hope you can do that with OpenD6 eventually.
Ooh, we'll see. Well, if a review copy was to make its way to the Mr. Mean channel, I'd be sure to give it a good thorough going through.
I mean, OpenD6 has technically been out there already. It's an OGL license, right? Open game license. But what we're doing with that is, Gordon, who did Savage US, is we're trying to first make the online tool just like he did Savage US,
which is phenomenal. Really if people haven't checked it out, they should go check it out.
Savage US is fantastic, and the OpenD6.net, plug for myself there, for him really, not for me, is really pretty functional right now. You can do campaigns that just like you do everything he's learned in Savage US from 3 generations of it now. He's already applying to the first generation of OpenD6.net. And so we're able to I can build characters. You can put in your own rules, your own edges, or advantages and disadvantages, whatever. And we're just trying to smooth out some of the differences between the different versions of OpenD6, and we're kind of make sort of what we're calling our core version. But our idea isn't to make we've changed enough, we're putting our stamp on it, you have to license it from us kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which we could do enough with, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Our idea is anything we add to it is available to everyone. It's just part of the OGL. Nothing is ours.
Right. And the OGL is a great concept because it does it does promote creative,
Right. More people will use the system if they don't have to pay to use it or sign a licensing agreement. The only difference might be is if
they're making stuff in your universe, that's your IP,
Yeah, if it's my universe, that's mine. If Saints and Sinners was done in OpenD6, that's mine. You can't have that. You got to pay me to use that because I put a ton of money into that. That's me.
And that's rightly so. That's fair.
Yeah. But for example, let's say we do a whole entire version of superhero rules, which don't really exist. They kind of do. There's some versions of, but our version of superhero rules that comes out. Maybe we'll do a book for it, sure. But then once the rules are out there,
they're out there.
Anyone can use the rules. They're out there. We're not saying you have to. We'd love it if you credit us for the rules if you use them. Yeah. That's not the most.
And I think the OGL doesn't the OGL specifically say that though, that you have to.
Or for the actual original OGL rules, yes. But anything we add to it then would basically have to be credit to the OGL. They also said these guys added.
And I think that's
just
that's common decency, to be honest. Yeah, it's polite.
Simultaneous drink there.
I know. Cheers. Well, we have been chatting for just about an hour. So I like to keep these things to about an hour because that's, I think, when you time out. Is there anything you want to say to the audience out there, to the, as I like to call them, the Horde, aka the meanies?
I mean, I'll just say that there's been a lot of people who've been watching my Facebook for the last couple of years as I've worked towards kind of like an open diary, and they're waiting for stuff to come out. I appreciate that. No one's really complained about the process as I shared it, that it's taking time.
No.
I'm just glad
You're
that
one
finally
guy.
this year, at least some of it's going to come out, and I can share these ideas and stuff with people. So it's cool. I'm glad people follow along, and just thanks for the interest, and if nothing else, interesting chats and talks to people I've met along the way.
And it's reciprocal. You are an interesting person. Take that for what it's worth, coming from Mr. Mean. And you got a cool idea. You got neat concepts. You're personable. That helps. You dived into the Discord channel. After my conversation with Christian. And you're just a super cool guy. So, and then you started sharing the art with me, and I was like, ooh. I need my head on a swivel, man. He's throwing so much stuff at me.
Key to get attention for your game. You can talk about it all you want. You show someone a cool picture,
exactly.
They're in.
No, you can have the greatest mechanics in the world, but if there's no art in that book, you ain't gonna sell it. You put a cool picture on the cover, and people go, oh.
But the last thing is, if they get into it and the art's great, but the thing sucks, they'll never buy the second product.
Exactly. So
art just gets them in the door. The rest has to
exactly.
Be cool.
You can have a great coffee table book, but if there's no substance besides the art, you've got an art book. You don't have a game.
Yep.
So
Correct.
and you're well on your way. I think I'm super stoked about playing in your game with Saltomancer. It's a great name. You gave me a nice compliment. I just want to tell the meanies that I did the card deck review. I bought them on DriveThruRPG, and they sent it to me in the nice box. I did the review. I showed everybody the cards, and you put on that. I think it was on the Facebooks. You said, yeah, guy saw your review and went and bought the cards. So to all my meanies out there, thank you. That means so much to me that when I get a guy like Brandon or any game designer or publisher that says, I sold a copy of X because of you, then that makes this all worth it. It really, for me,
great.
It's a great warm fuzzy feeling, and I love it. I like when I run games at conventions and then I pass the kid or the young lady in the hallway and they hold up a copy of the game that I ran for them the night before, and they're just all smiles, and I'm like, I've done my job, and that's just a great feeling to know that you've moved a little positivity in the environment. So I believe in paying it forward. I have a Patreon, and I just added another Patreon, so that's awesome. And the Patreon doesn't do a whole, it's $5 a month, but you get access to the games I run. You get first dibs. You get a special denominator on Discord to show that you're a Patreon member. And then when game designers send me free copies of stuff, I put it in a pile and I say, okay, I do a drawing, and then that person gets whatever it is that I have. So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. And if I think $5, a lot of people say, oh, you should charge $10 or $20. I'm like, that's not the point. I'm not doing it to make a living.
Yeah.
I'm doing it to just offset some of the shipping costs that I have to incur.
Yeah, lets you do what you're doing, basically.
Right. Yeah. And it's, and I'm not paying anything for the games. They're being sent to me for free. Right. So, and to me, when guys like you, take time out of their day, like Jay does this at Feral Games. He does this all the time. I'll just get a book show up on my doorstep, and I'm like, and Jay's like, oh, well, it's one I'm working on. I just thought, and it'll be like the proof copy from a drive-through or whatever, so it's not for sale or anything, and it's like, ooh, and I Google over it and go nuts, and, and that's just cool shit, it's just,
it's fun, it's enjoyable.
Yeah. And so I put out a message, and I'll say it again to all the meanies out there. And this goes for you too. If you need a Mr. Mean sticker, just private message me at mrmeanspeaks@gmail.com, and I'll send me your address, and I'll put some stickers in the mail to you. So cost me what, 50 cents for a sticker? I mean,
yeah, that's
or I mean, for a stamp. What is it, 59 cents for a stamp now? I don't even know what it costs.
It's getting ridiculous.
And I usually put a little note in there saying, hey, thanks for the support, and the kudos will be when I go to a convention and I see my sticker on somebody's car. That'll be when I've made it. I've hit.
You get some stickers that look like this.
You can, you know what? Stickermule.com, and you can make your own. You can make your own for $80. You'll get 50 of them.
Do it.
Oh yeah, like I said, they're nice stickers too, and supposedly I haven't tested this yet, but they did tell me you can put them like on a coffee cup, and let them sit overnight. So make sure that they're fully adhered, and then you can run them through the dishwasher. They won't come off. So you can get your cheap, steal your Waffle House coffee mugs and then put your logo on them and then give them to people. So I don't know if that's, but yeah, my laptop here has a ton of stickers on it. So and I never thought about making stickers, but until Nubby told me about it, and then I was super excited. So yeah. And now I need to find someone who's artistic enough to put my email address on the stickers, because I realized after this first batch, all it says is Mr. Mean Speaks. Nobody knows what it is. If you're not a gamer, okay, I see some dice. That's all. Okay, whatever. So I need to get my email address on there, or my YouTube channel, or both on there. So I got to reach out. If any meetings are listening and you're artistically inclined, hook me up. I'll send you a free sticker.
If only I knew some artists.
Yeah, if only you knew. It's funny. The guy that made that logo for me, he had his own art company in New York. Super nice guy, and he just fell off the face of the earth. COVID hit. He lost all his employees. He's trying to keep his business up and running, and he just hasn't been online or anything. And I've reached out to him a couple of times, and I haven't heard anything from him. And he literally whipped that up for me in an evening. And he sent it to me. He's like, "Hey, what about this?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, but I think I'd like it to be darker, and then with the the dice kind of a brighter yellow." And okay, how about this? Boom, it was done. And I was like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "Use it. It's yours. Do what you want with it." So it's been my channel logo ever since. So, and I love it. Awesome. I want T-shirts made. I love it. It's just perfect. And I can't get a hold of the guy. I hope he's doing well. Super nice guy. Big GURPS GM. If you know GURPS.
I know of it. Never played it.
Yeah, another great system. The granddaddy to Savage Worlds. The generic universal role-playing system, GURPS. So yeah. Phenomenal guy. I wish him all the best. I hope he's doing well. And if he catches this, reach out to me. I can't for the life of me think of his name right now, so I'm drawing a blank. But other than that, thank you, sir, for the worlds that you're inventing and the hard work that you are doing. Thank you for being the creative person so that I don't have to be, because we'd all suck if I had to do it. So I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me a little slice of your world and giving my viewers a taste of what's to come. We're super excited. I think I can speak for the mini audience. Guys, if you want to see more of his work and more of his artist's work, put notes down in the comments below, and then maybe when this thing actually goes to production, we'll do another kickoff video for it or something like that to highlight the book, maybe a PDF or something like that, and we can share screens and all that fun stuff. So, Brandon, it's been a pleasure, sir. It was an honor. Thank you so much for spending time with me. We will do it again, and I will chat with you on Discord. We're going to stop recording for everybody at home. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see here, support me on Patreon. Join the Discord. Links will all be down in doobly-doo. Go check out Brandon's Facebook page, and he'll send me all of his socials. We'll put links down in the doobly-doo. As always, peace and hair grease. And remember, Mr. Mean